City News is brought to you by East Brewster Lawyers Rotorua, celebrating 100 years of legal excellence and innovation.
Kia ora Rotorua, ahead in tonight's bulletin. Local MP Todd McClay praises local police for the continuing decrease in crime. The Energy Events Centre is confirmed as the venue for the upcoming Te Aroha Kapahaka regional competition. And Bay of Plenty Rugby Union promises plenty of fun at their Term 1 school holiday program. Local MP Todd McClay has welcomed the significant decrease of most serious crime offences in Rotorua down for the fourth consecutive year. The Bay of Plenty Police District annual crime statistics show overall crime in Rotorua dropped 11.2% in 2013. This follows a 4.7% decrease in 2012, 5% decrease in 2011 and 0.5% decrease in 2010. Mr McClay says these are good results for our communities and reflect the hard work of our police. Kapahaka takes centre stage next month when the Te Aroha regional competition gets underway. The Energy Events Centre is the venue for 2 days of local performances. Te Aroha Kapa Trust Secretary Watu Mihinui says everything is set for a great competition.
Our Te Aroha Kapa regional whakataitai will be held over 2 days, a day and a half, on Friday evening, the 9th of May, and all day Saturday, the 10th of May. This Friday evening will be the Pakeke supportive groups, of which we have 9, and then on Saturday will be the tīmatoa who are vying to represent Te Aroha at the forthcoming Te Matatini Whakataitai in Christchurch, March next year.
Oh, and it's a big deal, isn't it?
It sure is.
It's a big deal. So how many rōpū are going to be vying for those positions, and how many positions are there?
Well, because we have got 22 rōpū in our regional whakataitai, we are entitled to 6 representatives for Te Aroha at next year's Matatini campaign.
Nominations are open for this year's Trustpower Rotorua Community Awards. Run in partnership with RDC, the awards are open to all voluntary groups and organisations working to make Rotorua a better place to live.
Yes, so I'm employed by Trustpower, but we work with the Rotorua District Council to celebrate volunteers who are individuals, who are young people, and also voluntary groups. So we're doing that this year through the Trustpower Rotorua District Community Awards, and it's going to be a function that celebrates these 3 different groups.
Wow, that's a big mouthful, isn't it?
Yeah.
3 groups all coming together, so it's going to be a huge night then.
It's going to be really inspirational, from seeing the young ones who are doing things within the community and within their schools, helping coach other students, to the groups who are, helping in the environment. They might be running arts events, to those stalwart champions, those individuals that are sort of holding everything together and have just been working away in the background, just championing away on different projects for many years.
In sport tonight, a considerable number of rugby stars of the future will have the opportunity to rub shoulders with their heroes during the upcoming school holidays through the Bay of Plenty Rugby Union's holiday programs for youngsters of the region. The program will take place in Mount Maunganui, Rotorua and Whakatane during the first term school holidays. It's aimed at both boys and girls between 7 and 12 years of age. BOPRU organisers say the holiday program is more than just teaching basic rugby skills, with plenty of fun and games as well. And in a region where Māori rugby rules supreme, the youngsters will also be given instruction in performing the haka. Rotorua Primary will be the venue for the local program on Tuesday the 29th and Wednesday the 30th of April. To your weather now. Tonight will be fine with light winds and an overnight low of 11. Tomorrow, Thursday, cloud or fog in the morning and night, otherwise fine, light winds, a high of 21 and a low of 9. And the outlook for Friday, mainly fine with cloud or fog in the morning and at night, light winds, a high of 21 and a low of 9. And the marine forecast for Lake Rotorua, variable 5 knots with waves less than half a metre, isolated showers mainly in the afternoon and evening. Remember, for program listings and other info or to catch up on City News, you can visit our website at tvrotorua.co.nz. Still to come tonight in City News, We take a look at Lakes water quality and speak with participants in the recent Te Arawa Lakes tour. And Alan Solomon catches up with Hilary Turler at Age Concern.
Hilary Turler and her team here at Age Concern do an awesome job looking after the other folks in our community, and we really do need to get behind them and support them. And while we're here, we're also going to find out what this is and exactly why you need one. The last time we caught up with you, we were going to talk about, or we discussed a seminar that the Age Concern were putting on specifically to help older people, especially with things like finance, real estate and property and all that sort of stuff. How'd it go?
It went well, but we were a little bit sad that we didn't get the numbers that we wanted. We had a group of about 30 people, and yet Chamber of Commerce sent the invite out to about 2,500 people, and we were hoping to attract the banks, the real estate people, the insurance people, and unfortunately only BNZ came to the party, and they allowed us to use their premises. So from that point of view, it went well. It did go well. We had David Darthwaite, an attorney. We had Simon Firth, a GP from Ngangataha, and then of course Bronwyn Groot from the BNZ Securities and Scams Division. So yeah, it went well.
Do you think it'll be something that you'll run again in the future?
We are. We're going to be doing one on the 14th of June. And now this one will be aimed at just the community. And we're really hoping for a good turnout. And there won't be any fees attached to this one, so. And we'll offer them a cup of tea and a sandwich if they like to turn up. But yeah, and we haven't started advertising it yet. We were meeting this morning to decide what date we wanted to hold it on. And we chose 14th of June. And on the 15th of June is the actual World Elder Abuse Awareness Day. So we're actually celebrating that day.
So should I tie the two together?
Tie the two together, yeah.
Now I mentioned a couple of topics, Hilary, were finance and real estate, but what were some of the other issues that were up for discussion?
Well, the backbone of this whole project is the enduring power of attorney, and that people are not understanding the legalities of this document. People abuse it, and we have found just this week, I've had one case where brother and sister team have told me a casual friend of the father is ripping him off the whole time. He bought her a vehicle because she complained she couldn't get around with her children. He was loaning her money, she wasn't paying it back. So yeah, there is an enduring power of attorney here, but the person doesn't live locally. So it's not seeing firsthand about what is going on.
You've got the life tubes here, just what's inside them?
The life tube, this document here, back and front, you put all your details down on here, who your doctor is, your health conditions, what medication you take, allergies, and at the back, contact, next of kin, emergency contact, enduring power of attorney, and you fill all that information in and you fold it up nicely and you put it back in the tube. We recommend that people have two, one for the house and one for the vehicle, and this here goes on the fridge. This goes inside the fridge, that goes on the outside. And the importance of this is that if a person has a fall and is not really able to give emergency services the information, if they see this on the fridge, they know they have access to this.
Now the paramedics look for that sticker, don't they?
Yeah, they do. They do.
Where can people pick these up from?
From here. They are actually a product that we sell, and it's $4.50 per life tube. And when we do things like promotions like this, we give them to everybody who attends, and they can pass them on to older family members, use them themselves if they're old. But yeah, it
What
could.
class is old, Helen?
Yeah. Well, anybody that considers themselves past a certain date, and that's different for everybody.
Of course, yeah.
But our target audience or clientele is 55 plus. So yeah, I don't feel old being part of that plus. But yeah, and it could save somebody's life. That's how important these life tubes are. I mean, you just take, for example, you fall down, you bash your head. You're not going to actually be conscious to give emergency services this. So it's not just for old people.
It's for anyone.
It's for anybody. And they make a nice gift to somebody. It's a gift of life. Yeah.
It is true.
Yep.
Chloe, good to see you again, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
The Te Arawa Lakes Trust, along with Bay of Plenty Regional Council, recently held a tour of some of the Rotorua lakes, taking a look at water quality and lake programs. Our reporter Kitty Danielle went along and spoke with some of the participants about the tour.
So David, can you tell me what are your dreams and aspirations for the lakes here in Rotorua?
Well, I'd like them all to be healthy, and what that means is that some of the nutrients are reduced, the nutrient inputs to the lake, and that the whole of the lake health is therefore improved. And as a result, some of the indigenous species can get a foothold and come back to where they were perhaps historically.
So what would you like to happen with the land around the lakes?
Well, it's about being able to minimise nutrient inputs to the lake, and what that means is that we want to retain those nutrients on the lake where they can be productive, where they can support either the forest or agricultural land.
Retain them on the land?
On the land. Once they get into the water, that's when the problems start. That's when algae grow, and that's when you can lose oxygen from bottom waters. So if you retain them on the land, great. If you don't, then you have the consequences of having to deal with the impacts on lake health.
Some of the pest plants that are troubling our lakes at the moment, what are they?
Well, there are about 4 main species, and some of the recent ones have been hornwort and Egeria and also Lagarosiphon. And they're generally known as oxygen weeds, but they're not indigenous. They're invasive species, and they grow and overtop some of our smaller native species, and they cause not only nuisance values but economic losses, like getting into hydro intakes and all of the problems that are associated with those. And they probably adversely affect a lot of the native species that are present in the lakes. And so one of the big issues, I think, is now trying to deal with as the lakes improve in health, trying to deal with some of these invasive species.
What do you think governments can do to help the problem?
Well, I think that the limits-based approach that's being proposed is the basis of what we require, and that relates to being able to match the desired outcomes for the lake, for lake health, to what happens on the land. And we've got to make this holistic connection between land and water. We can't just do something on the land alone. We have to always connect it to our most precious resource of fresh water.
Well, thank you very much. You've certainly been a precious resource on this trip. I've enjoyed spending the day actually with David, and I would advise anybody who has a love of our waterways to look into the science behind what you can do about it. Kia ora. Well, kia ora aroha, you've been on the trip today, and you've got a message perhaps that individuals who haven't been on the trip may like to take on board. What's that?
Well, I think we can all think when we go to any sort of water, to be really mindful of what we take into the water, particularly if we're taking boats into the water, to ensure that nothing is carried from that lake to pollute another water source. And it's very evident today, seeing the amount of really terrible green vegetation in there which should not be there. And apparently some of these might have been introduced because people decided to empty their fish bowl or fish tank into it. They might have even emptied some of their goldfish or some other species which are foreign to these waters into the water, and therefore it's polluted our water. So we've really got to be so mindful of the importance of it. So those of us who have grandchildren in the future can be hopeful. We can't be certain, but we can do our best to ensure that the water quality is such that they can actually swim in it and that they can drink from that water.
What would your message be to rangatahi who have never had the experience of drinking their awa or swimming in an unpolluted lake?
Okay, I would feel very sad for those young people, and I know there are many like that. I would hope to take them to a source which is beautifully clean and pristine, so that they could engage with that way, not only at a level of drinking for sustenance or for swimming in to enjoy the clarity of the water, but at a wairua level as well, to feel the beauty. You can feel the distinct difference between swimming in something which is gloriously clean and a real pleasure to swim in, and one where you're sort of thinking, oh my God, what's that at the bottom under my feet? It's a totally different experience again. So that's what I wish for our mokopuna of the future.
That was Araha Yates-Smith talking with Kitty Danielle. Up next, Kitty continues with our report on the state of Rotorua lakes.
Kia ora rā, Kingi. So you were on the trip today. What were your thoughts, Ehua?
Oh, it was an amazing trip, Ehua. I think we read in the newspapers and we see in the glorious TV Rotorua these stories about the te hauora o te wai, the health of our lakes. But it's only when you go out and see the lay of the land, and the lay of the land of our lakes aren't good. There are weeds that are 7 to 8 meters high, and they're taking everything out of our lakes. We saw that. We can touch that. It was, and the other thing that really amazed me is that you can have a weed about 7. Well, look at me. I'm only like 1 meter, really, really high. And even if the top comes off, it lands on the ground, and then it establishes itself again, and another one grows. And that's what happens. We saw that when a boat travels along the water, and the weed is so high that of course naturally it will chop up and what it's doing is it's drumming up business, isn't it? It's drumming up business for more weed. So these are the things that we need to know. Because why do we need to know it? Because then we can start doing something about it.
Well, tēnā rawa atu koe te rangatira. You've been on the trip today, and you are from a very beautiful place. And how did you feel about what we learnt today?
I think it was a great trip. Having stayed in Rotorua nearly 50 years ago and come back after being in Auckland, I've not really visited some of the lakes, and over recent times I've sort of become really interested in the water quality, and had the occasion to translate the strategy for water in Te Reo, and it gave you insight into what is happening.
So Andy, you were one of the chief kind of speakers on the trip today, and you're very passionate about the lakes and the lake quality. Can you tell me what the highlights were for your day today?
Well, the highlight today is probably seeing people understanding there's been other people really engaged in the lakes program, and so seeing Ricky Hancock talking about Kawaro and other people realising that this is a really exciting topic to talk about. Other people doing expected things like Roger getting up and singing in Maori, and other people joining in the singing, so that was a pretty exciting part of it. And people asking some complicated questions, so people seem to be understanding what we're talking about and asking things like, is alum use safe on our lakes, and is it appropriate? And I think it's really important that they ask those questions.
So for anybody that didn't go on the trip and wasn't lucky enough to get a seat on that bus, can you just run through kind of what the day was?
Oh, the day was about going to various interventions where we're doing things to try and improve water quality in the lakes, but then also other visits where we're just engaging with people, and that's like the Kawaro thing. And the Kawaro is about restoring Kawaro if we can, but also making sure that the people, particularly tangata whenua around that particular area, Ngāti Rangawiwahi, understand what Kawaro are, learn about Kawaro, and then they come up with the ideas about how they might be restored. So it's not a regional council project, it's a Ngāti Rangawiwahi and other people in the community project.
So we did go out to Hamurana Springs. We also went out to the, we're obviously here at the wastewater treatment plant. We went out and saw an aluminium, what was that called?
Oh, we call those pea locking plants. So they're not the normal pea that you hear about, but this is
not the bad stuff.
This is
good stuff.
Pea that stands for phosphorus. And so phosphorus is something that farmers fertilise their land with, superphosphate, to grow more grass. But if that phosphorus gets into the lakes, then it grows effectively more algae, which is like growing more grass. And so we're trying to stop that going to the lakes.
Right. Now we also went and saw a new development out at Hell's Gate. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, the Hell's Gate thing is a really unusual situation. That's a geothermal area, and most people who've gone to Hell's Gate will know that you can get geothermal mud there and see the steam and hot water coming out of the ground. The problem is Hell's Gate also brings in about 20 to 30 tonnes of nitrogen a year, and that goes down into Lake Rotorua, and that's another thing that assists in growing algae, which we want to prevent. So we've got a project out there using a zeolite, which is a natural rock which is mined very close to here at Nakuru, and seeing if we can absorb some of the nitrogen in that. And so far the trials are proving very successful. We're now trialling to see a little bit more specific detail about how we scale that up and design a full-scale plant which we'll build next year.
That was Andy Bainbridge talking with Kitty Danielle at the Recent Lakes Tour. If you have any news that you'd like to share with us, give the station a call on 07 3488 984 or email news@tv-rotorua.co.nz. Thanks for joining us tonight. Ka kite anō.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.
City News was brought to you by East Brewster Lawyers Rotorua, celebrating 100 years of legal excellence and innovation.